Welcome to the Temple of Flame. On today, Faith Black Lights, we take a look at this. And what this is from Seed Ranch, it is the Umami Reserve hot sauce with oven-dried olives, porcini mushrooms, and chocolate habanero. And so not too long ago, not so very long ago, I had this. Umami everyday sauce and oven-dried olives, porcini mushrooms, and capers. And I like this sauce, you can see, so very much that getting a version with the only thing I thought that sauce was lacking, which was heat, getting that became an immediate priority. And I bumped this ahead of a bunch of other stuff. It's a little hard to tell because I have a somewhat of a backlog, but the capers do appear here, never fear, never fear. So we are looking at a chocolate habanero as the heat driver. They're calling it 3 peppers. And so this one I've been digging into a little bit, and I thought, it'd be a lot better if I just did it head to head. And we're actually not even doing it head to head. We're doing it head to head to head. And I'll show you what I mean as we get into the video. So we've got the tamari soy sauce, water, olive oil, tomato paste, chocolate habanero. We've got capaz. We've got Kalamata olives, porcini mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, seaweed, garlic, red miso, balsamic, chipotle, carrot, date, sesame oil, cumin, and what's that last thing? Konjac, I think. So looking at this one, which I did in the other video as well, everything is the same except for the chocolate habaneros. I know that would probably be a point of interest, so I just wanted to kind of show that. You know what? Since we're doing so many comparisons, you can see the difference here. It is somewhat slight. This one is slightly more red, and that is the main difference between the two. It's a little hard to see with the level stripe here. And if you want to see what the other one looks like in a white spoon, feel free to check out that video. They're more similar than not in terms of color, though. And I suspect that is why they chose the chocolate habanero. The chipotle is in the other sauce as well, of course. So it looks really nice. Very nice, sort of maybe a dark tan, light brown sort of color. Just gorgeous. It is silky smooth. It is every bit the other sauce, just with the addition of the chocolate habaneros. Yeah, just gorgeous. Like the first hot sauce I had from them, I guess I was thinking it would be something different than it was, but my socks have been blown right off my foots after the Umami Everyday, and now this one, the Umami Reserve. But let's get on into it. It is just silk. I don't think the heat is as high as they're suggesting, but I will say that there are some bitter undercurrents in this pepper that are not present in the other sauce. And that makes it a little bit of a challenge. If you're going to try to make something with heat, it's probably not going to be identical one-to-one flavor. And I thought that was the only thing that other sauce needed. This just needs a little heat. That's all it needs. And the chocolate habaneros, I just feel are adding a little bit of bitterness to it that I wish wasn't there. The heat is nice though. Like, it's a nicer gray heat. So flavor-wise, I prefer the other one. Heat-wise, obviously, I prefer this one. If it was me, I would just say to always just use red habaneros. I think those are by far the best that particular pod has to offer. So, but yeah, I mean, the mouth feels good. It's nice and silky smooth. I don't love that bitterish element so much there. I think it kind of intrudes on a lot of what is going on here with the sort of savory umami. And I guess you're going to make sacrifices for heat a little bit. I guess. So I am excited about today. So I've got here, I just made these fresh. They had some really nice Portobello caps on sale at the store. I was going to get porcini mushrooms, saute those, but they had these instead. So I was like, you know, I could do with Portobello. I could definitely deal with Portobello. Oh. So if you want to know how to make these, which are a bit of an umami bomb by themselves just right now, okay? Here's what you do. I like to run them underwater and then pat them dry. I know people say don't do that because it absorbs the water or whatever, but it doesn't matter. To me, it just gives me a little peace of mind. So I run them underwater and try to get all whatever the fertilizer they're using may still be as a remnant on there. And then I'll pat them completely dry. These they were on sale because they had some spots. So I cut off all the spots, patted them dry, and threw an empty pan on the stove, and I heated it up, and then I threw the little bit of olive oil in it, and then I sprinkled just a tad of some chicken bouillon. I didn't have beef, so I just used chicken. Just a tad. You don't need a lot. Just a tad, and oh man. This is these, like, Portobellos themselves will give you a real nice umami hit, and it's going to be umami heaven here, I think. All right, so we're going to put the regular one on this here side, and put that one already has the cap off. And you know what? Just looking at them here, I lied. This everyday umami sauce is reading considerably darker here. Let's see if I can show you without dumping this everywhere. So the lighter one, the one right here next to the big cap, is the reserve. This one, that's the farther edge over here, kind of by where my thumb is right here. This is the regular everyday sauce. So the everyday sauce is darker. Let's start off with that one. Oh my God. This is one of the best sauces anyone has ever done of any kind of sauce ever. When you have that high of a benchmark, it is really hard for anything to get into that rarefied air, including this companion sauce. Yep. So, In my view, they definitely used the wrong habaneros. Chocolate are not the right ones to go with there, I don't think. I don't dislike chocolate ones. But I'm just saying here going, if you're going to use habaneros, use reds. I don't know that I would have even used the pepper that they did there, though. Man, that's so good. Okay. So the Battle of the Mushrooms, absolutely, hands down, running away. The everyday sauce. Seven ways to Sunday is just whooping it. But okay, so now we know. Fair is fair on the mushrooms. Now here's the other side. So I said we're going to do head to head to head. I'm going to mix them. I'm going to mix them a little bit. And we will see what that does to the complexion here. Okay. Well, I thought it might have been better than each one separate. This is just such a strong sauce. Instead, it probably falls where you would have predicted. The combination of them is better than this by itself, but is not as good as this by itself. Man, Portobellos are just, if they're prepared correctly, they are outstanding. And I prepared them very correctly here. All right, so you have to be a tad careful with them though. So a few times I made bacon cheeseburgers. I put a whole portobello mushroom cap on the bacon cheeseburger. And I ate the burger, but I was done after that. They can be a little filling. So instead, I had two of them there. I'm going to push my luck until it smashes. So I said before that this is one of the few noodle types I've had on this series, in the ramen series, that I buy regularly. Regularly is a stretch. I do like to keep them on hand though, because these firewoks, if you throw the vegetables away, if you throw the fire sauce away, what you have here is a very nice, especially for instant noodles, a very nice approximation of a wonderful tonkatsu pork ramen. On the downside, I am about to attempt to consume 136% of my, well, what they're calling the daily sodium intake. So, we're going to start once again with the ringer. And we'll just throw some of that in there. But these noodles, like, I'll have these by themselves. This is one of the few times I will consider putting a sauce in here. The soup base that they have with this is probably the best, I think, of any commercial instant ramen available. Like, it is, I don't like anything else in the Firewalk line, but I love these. This is interesting. So, as you might expect, it does add a little bit of astringency from the vinegar, from the calamatas. which I'm assuming are probably pickled, maybe not. They are. Yeah, so we're adding a little bit of astringency here, which I don't love. So this isn't bad. I would rather have these by themselves, so I'm just being honest. And I have a whole bowl to do that with, I guess, if depending on how this next part goes. My goodness, that's so good. All right. Let's throw in the Challenger next. I mean, it's not really a Challenger. This is meant to be about this sauce. But I don't feel I can do it in a vacuum. I feel I have to do these two together. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm not getting to that. I can assure you that. Again, we impart a little bit more heat, but this sauce is actually wrecking these noodles. So, I mean, that's the trade-off. It almost always is. Where if you want a little bit of heat and stuff, you've got to compromise. We are going to try the mix. I promised a head-to-head. And we are going to do a head-to-head. So here's the final contest of all three, of both of them together. With my otherwise wonderful noodles that I'm ruining doing this. That's... Okay, that's pretty good. That actually is better. So the combination of these two is better on ramen, or in ramen, than either of those separately. Let me wrap this up. We'll do some rankings. This one is not quite as astringent. So you have the astringency cut down a little bit, but this also is delivering a nice bit of heat. And the what they're calling here this sizzling rich pork, the flavoring here is just doing a phenomenal job of carrying those flavors through. That was actually really good, mixing the two together. I wasn't expecting that. All right, so Battle of the Portobellas, everyday sauce, won that handily, walking away, wasn't even close. Followed by the combination of the two, followed by this. As far as the ramen goes, the order was a little bit different. It was the combination, followed by the everyday sauce again. And then with this one kind of dead last. It's still a really good tasting sauce, don't get me wrong. The heat is nice. The flavor is, like, this is an excellent sauce on its own. We are just comparing it to greatness. And it's a little bit of an unfair comparison, I feel like, but it also is a necessary one because both of these are the umamis. And I don't feel like you can not compare them. So As far as this one, I don't like the habanero flavor reading through the sauce. I don't like the bitterness that it adds. I do like the heat for sure, but I don't like those other characteristics because I really feel like they degrade the sauce. This is meant to be a high octane flavor sauce. Great. You need to pair it with a extremely good tasting, well flavored pepper. So I say red serrano would be fine. Red habanero if you want to go the habanero route. I think both of those two would be great. I might opt for something like maybe a peri peri where you don't have a whole lot of flavor and the heat is very nice in the background and it doesn't step on stuff if you're, judicious with it. I know there's a very dramatic leap in heat between a habanero and a ghosty, which is kind of at the lower end of the super hots. I wouldn't say to consider using a ghosty here. I don't know, that takes a lot of finesse to pull that off, and I think it could go tragically wrong. Like this one is still a good sauce. It's a definite downgrade, but it is still a very, very nice sauce overall. Like I'm going to whip through this no problem at all. But like usually if I have these kind of sauces, like two of them that are this similar, I will just mix them together in the bottles. No chance. No chance. I'm going to savor and enjoy every last drop of this everyday sauce. And then I will come to this one. So, I think this one is pretty solid. I have done a lot of other head-to-head testing as well, so I'm not really surprised by these. I didn't do these two specifically because as soon as I hit on the idea, I think I mentioned that in that video actually, I was like, oh, I should try this on ramen. As soon as I hit on the idea, I knew the ramen I wanted, and I knew as soon as I saw porcini mushrooms on the actual labels of both of these two, I knew I was going to want to try to saute some mushrooms or grill them or something like that, and then try them in that context as well. So aside from that, I have not really compared the two side by side. This, I think, might work a little bit better on meats because it is not quite as astringent. And that's my personal preference. I don't like a lot of pungency to stuff like red meat. And I think this is going to definitely... I'm trying to remember if I actually tried them head-to-head on burgers or not. But I think this one is probably going to be the better of the two in that case. I have tried it on pork and chicken, and I think they're actually fairly closely matched because those two meats will take pungency a little bit better. Red meat I don't think takes it very well. I think it's better to lean into the richness of that as well. But like the salt, pepper pork, the salt, pepper chicken, the salt, pepper burgers that I make, like I try to keep it simple so I have a uniform framework, a control group, I guess, in one respect. And that way I can kind of know what everything is doing. So anyway, as far as this goes, I think this is a really strong sauce. Like if you absolutely can't live without heat for your everyday sauce, this is a good one to look at. Again, not my preference for peppers, but I don't have any real complaints about this. Like I'm quite happy with this. I would probably not get this again if the other one was available, just because I really like that other one so very, very much. But I wouldn't hesitate if I couldn't find it and I was craving an umami sauce. I think these are really unique sauces, and these are, I think, both to a large degree just blowaway sauces from Seed Ranch that I don't think I've ever seen anyone else attempting, let alone doing. So, credit where it's due for sure. But we will just leave it right there for that. Super fun video to do. I really like doing these sort of impromptu head-to-head things, and especially when you have two just phenomenal, great sauces. Obviously, this one is a little bit greater, but as these two are. And we'll leave it right there. So that was the Seed Ranch Umami Reserve Hot Sauce.
Now go forward in peace to serve the flame.